Alright, welcome to another episode of the Lords of Lobang. We are here on a very gloomy Sunday.
Yes.
To my left is Sean, the a.k.a. the White Knight. Beside him is Deben, a.k.a. the Dark Knight.
Brown Knight.
Brown Knight. And I am your third co-host, Josiah, a.k.a. newly single turned bi-curious turned now fully gay.
AIDS, does it exist?
Yeah. Now I've jumped into the deep end. You know, I had my fair share of being with someone for 4 years of the opposite sex. That was good. Then I had my fair share of trying to tip my toes into the deep waters. That felt alright. After tipping my toes, I'll be like, let's just jump in. I just want to swim with the sharks.
Okay. So before we get into any of the hard-hitting... Actually, this is one big topic,
Yeah.
which actually affects quite a bit of
Affects
the world,
people like me.
of the world population. Not only
Yeah.
you, but the world population.
I should say in my deep voice again, AIDS, does it exist?
No. That's you see, that's the thing. Let's clarify right now.
Okay.
That the question is not whether AIDS exists.
Right.
AIDS is, as what we are going to talk about, you will the listeners and viewers will find out, is that AIDS is just a reclassification of about 26 different syndromes or diseases,
Right.
which people have come down with naturally
Right.
or via like artificial means, whatever people were doing to their own bodies, right?
Yeah.
So this has been happening even before the so-called HIV virus was found
Right.
for quite a number of years.
Right.
Some even say over hundreds of years,
Right.
right? So what we are talking about is the idea that there's a virus called HIV,
Yeah.
and that virus HIV is the sole cause of AIDS.
Right. So
that is the premise.
are you telling me that I do not have AIDS, even though I've been shitting blood for the past week?
That could be down to many different things.
Yeah. I tried to finger my ass the other day, and then I
You
pulled out
should-
my finger, and there was blood on it.
You
Yeah.
could have torn it from trying to shove the entire bidet up your butt.
Yeah. Or why don't you just start cutting your fingernails?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes when I get constipated, I need my fingernails to scoop it out.
to scrape, huh?
Yeah, to
Scrape
scrape the
edges.
insides and to pull out the
The
shit.
edges, and then use the bidet for a deep clean.
Yeah. Deep wash.
Too
Deep
deep.
wash.
How deep is too deep when you start shitting blood?
Yeah. when water starts squirting out of my mouth, I realize the bidet has gone in too deep.
Or when he can touch his lunch.
Yeah.
When you can taste it again.
Cologne cleanser.
Cologne.
They call it the cologne cleanser.
Not cologne. Colon.
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 Cologne. Cologne.
Cologne is
the
a state
perfume.
in Germany, and also what you put on your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you spray on your body for men, for real men that is. But I use perfume because now I'm fully gay. I can't use cologne.
Parfum.
It doesn't attract the right amount of men that I want to. When I use perfume, the right amount of men come up. The right group of men come up to me and be like, "You smell good, son."
So first time hearing all this as it is for you, so it's
Yeah.
new for us as it is for you as well.
Yeah, this is my first time coming out as well.
We're soaking it in because I don't know if he ever regrets it. We're gonna use this episode. Don't edit this out. And we're gonna use it against you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the moment when Deben and Shaw came to the studio, I was actually hiding in the closet, and then I surprised them. Boom! I'm here.
Surprise!
Surprise!
That was just coming out.
I
Yeah.
came out, and everyone expected me to come out, but
No.
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
The reason
Maybe-
why
maybe in
I
the
come
future.
out first is so that to make it more comfortable for you to come out.
Usually some people say it's a trick. Like they come out and then
Yeah.
encourage other people to come out. But sorry, I can't. And
Yeah.
there's nothing to come out to.
Just because you don't have a family, you want me to get murdered by my family.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck.
Yeah.
No.
So
No.
now that I admit of myself being fully gay, can I use the word agate?
Yeah, you can no
Freely?
Yeah.
You
Like how black people can use the N-word.
Oh,
Yeah. So now I can use agate.
you can
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
But the thing is that you have to prove it one day.
All right.
And if a gay guy
No,
comes up
he'll
to you,
prove it right now by sucking your cock.
Mike, no,
No.
it's alright.
No, but this is going to
It
be
has
under the
other
table,
way.
and we're going to record it for the Patreon.
For the
But it's not going to be normal $2. You have to pay at least 100.
Do we have a GoPro down there?
It's like an OnlyFans. You DM for the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
value.
But you pay money first, and then we'll send you the video.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No money,
yeah.
no talk. Like how we
And
say
don't
here.
worry, there's a Zoom function.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can zoom
Live
in.
show streaming coming right up.
Live show and zooming.
Yeah.
This is all because, once again, for the argument that the HIV virus has never actually been isolated. Successfully isolated.
Yeah, but you see that itself, right? The same thing with COVID-19, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone just like listens to what you just said,
Uh-huh.
HIV is not, the virus has not been isolated, COVID-19 has not been isolated, what do people do? They go on Google and they just go and search isolation of said virus, right? And then there will be journal articles, scientific articles that says in its title, the isolation of said virus. And that usually the person, without even reading that article, just says that, hey, you said no, there's no isolation. Here got isolation. What cock you talking about? But the thing is that people are actually not reading those articles.
Well,
Yeah, just like how I don't read articles.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm about to
yeah.
prove
For
that
the- for
just
the-
right
for the
right
po-
this moment
Yeah.
because I'm reading a Wikipedia article on HIV.
Yeah, that's not research. Research on.
It's not research, but the funny thing is that
No,
as
but
I'm reading
even-
I'm reading this,
yeah.
right, I understand nothing. So you see, HIV is the cause of a spectrum disease known as HIV/AIDS. HIV is a retrovirus, apparently very common. Blah, blah, blah. Then they start using things like components of the human immune system, such as CD4 plus T cells, macrophage, and that. I'm like, I'm lost. Can you simplify this? Do you exist? Not like just.
Okay,
Like,
so T cells are meant to be your
oh, there you go.
antibody, like to
Mhm.
help you fight against diseases.
Like your white blood cells.
So the T cell, the helper cells, lah. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, am I reading the right thing? I'm reading virology. So am I supposed to be? Is it pathophysiology that's the one that proves it, or where am I supposed to go to say that how it's been identified?
The virologists have to.
So it's the virology part. So I'm reading the right.
Wait, but
okay.
what you just asked, the question
Uh-huh.
you just asked, is very, very important
Okay.
because
Mm-hmm.
how it's being identified and analyzed and shown to be in existence
Mm-hmm.
is not down to one person, right? So if you have watched the Perth Group,
Yeah.
that video, right?
Yep.
It shows how the electron microscopist, the
Right.
person who's going to look at the petri dish under the electron microscope,
Yep.
that person is saying that, someone who's untrained in this would know jack shit.
Mm.
So the scientist who is like culturing the virus and sending it to me does not know what I'm going to do. So
Right.
I have to visualize it, make it into do it into a picture, view it under a microscope, and take pictures to show that okay, this might be it, this might be it, this might be it, and then the virologist back in the lab says that there we have found something which resembles a virus.
Right. Right.
So everything is compartmentalized, right? To a certain extent. So you got the microbiologist who's doing the lab work, right? Operating the machinery in the lab, doing culturing, adding antibiotics, putting it into a petri dish and all this kind of shit. And then you got the virologists, or the biologists or whoever who's in the back saying that, okay, this is how we are going to do it. This is my hypothesis, and let's go down this path. So it's actually a team effort.
Right.
And in this scenario, the team effort, right, is very, very disjointed. Where you got people saying that we actually cannot conclusively say that it's a virus particle because it's hard to say that it's actually a particular virus particle. So the isolation, the term isolation in mainstream virology now
Yep.
does not mean that it has been totally separated from something else. Like what we mean by
Right.
isolation, right? You are isolated in a room. You are alone in a room. But in mainstream virology, it does not mean that. It means that you have taken bodily fluids from a patient, someone that you deem to be infected by something, a sick person. You take that immediately to transport that bodily fluid. There are criterias.
Right.
you have to suspend it in some form of liquid, some
Right.
form of solution. And most of the time, you look at it, it's bovine calf serum.
Right, which is cow serum.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So it's bovine fetal serum.
Okay.
So something from the cow placenta.
Okay.
Right. So it's meant to be rich in nutrients, so it keeps the alleged virus or pathogen alive.
Because the theory about virus is that it cannot survive in the wild, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it needs
no,
a host.
It needs a host cell.
A whole
So
cell.
without
yeah.
a host cell, it can't replicate or it can't be alive.
Right.
And that is actually quite funky because in that case, how is it surviving in air?
Yeah, and there were talks about COVID-19 being a virus itself, surviving on
spreading via aerosols
and a bit on metals and
on
and
countertops.
on
and
countertops. Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
So-
So if it's so loose and so weak that it can't survive without a host cell,
Yeah.
then actually how is it really surviving and how is it being transmitted? That's another question lah. Right? Okay, so you get transported in that, and then it goes to a lab, and then in the lab, like what you said, you need a host cell, right? So nowadays, using human cells, it's not ethical. So they use monkey kidney cells,
Right.
and that's called vero cell culture, right? So they use monkey kidney cells, and they inoculate whatever bodily fluid that they've collected onto the monkey kidney cells, but it's not done alone. So there's more bovine calf serum or bovine fetal serum added. There are antigens added. There are antibiotics added. And it's all done in a temperature sensitive environment.
Right.
So when they want the cell culture to grow, they culture it with nutrients, more nutrients, and in very suitable temperatures. And then they slowly start starving the cell culture, right? Removing nutrients, putting it into harsh temperature conditions, either really cold or really warm, that it won't survive anymore. And when the cell culture starts degrading, they put it up for electron microscopy and they look at cell degradation, right? And then that is the point where they say that, oh, the cells are dying, and there's a name for this. It's called the cytopathic effect.
Right.
And it is said that the cells are dying because there is a virus particle inside, and the virus particle was given the opportunity to replicate and reproduce itself so many times that it eventually killed that cell line. It infected the cell line and killed the cell line, and that's why the cells are degrading. The degradation is there, and now it's all broken up, and this is actually because there's a virus present. And once this is seen, it's evidence of the presence of a virus. And in modern techniques, it gets sent to another lab where they do a PCR. They conduct PCR tests on it, or just a PCR technique on it, and then they look up for DNA, RNA sequences,
Right.
right?
Right.
And they compare the DNA, RNA sequences to previously noted DNA or RNA sequences, genome sequences, and they say that, oh, it's similar to whatever sequences that we already have in our database, so it's part of this family of viruses and all. But if you look back at it, all the other RNA, DNA sequences have all been collected via this means,
Right. Right.
right? So you don't know where those DNA, RNA sequences came from because there are so many different DNA and RNA sequences in that culture. There's the monkey cells, there's the bovine calf serum, bovine fetal serum, there's our human sputum, bodily fluid, antibiotics reacting with that, other nutrients being added, whatever else that's being added that is not disclosed or disclosed. So we don't know. It's just a soup.
Right.
We don't know whatever RNA is coming from
we
the
don't know
carrot,
what
from
the
the meat.
actual ingredients are.
Yeah,
in
we
that.
don't know whether it's coming from the potato, the carrot,
Right.
the meat, the vegetable, like the leafy vegetable, the water, the stock that we added, we don't know.
Right.
But immediately it said that the cells died because of the virus.
And this has been practiced since the
1954.
Oh shit! I thought I was gonna say the 80s when the whole AIDS pandemic hit the US.
And the experiment that was done in the late 40s and 50s,
yeah.
early 50s, John Enders, was done by John Enders, the guy who is accredited to create the polio vaccines.
Right.
He actually did a control experiment.
Right.
So he showed one cell group with bodily fluids from someone who is said to be sick, and a cell group with body fluids from someone who's healthy.
Right.
Both cell groups showed the same thing.
Okay.
So the conditions that he added more shit, he added milk.
Right.
He added way more things to make sure that the cell grows and then after that eventually dies. But he was like, no, both the cell lines showed us the same effects and they both died and everything. So it's inconclusive lah. We can't say that there was a virus.
Right. Right.
Because the healthy one died, the infected one died, the so-called infected one died also. So, we really can't say shit. But then, nicely enough, they were like, no, but this is a good way, right? If the cell culture died, we can say that there's a virus, what? So we just need to extract out the virus, and then we can play around the virus, attenuate it, and we can make vaccines, what? So that's where the whole vaccine thing was come up with.
In the 50s lah.
Yeah. And early 50s, and they gave him a Nobel Peace Prize.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
but I would you say that that's the most pure form of identifying whether No?
Okay, so the purest form of identifying something, the purest form would be to, for example, if you're going to get your DNA sequence, right?
Yeah.
I'll take a blood sample from you or like a saliva sample from you.
Yeah.
Immediately I'll put it into a centrifuge to spit it out to make sure that all the different cells or different particles within your bodily fluid gets separated out by density. And then you use a sucrose gradient, and then you pass it through that, and then you centrifuge that, ultra centrifugation again, so that the sucrose gradient, right, actually traps all the different particles by density.
Right.
So the lighter stuff gets sucked out at one band which is at the lightest, and then the heavier ones go below lah. So from there you can actually find out, your DNA and everything is way lighter, right, than other cells. So we will suck out the things at here, and then they get to sequence it from there, because it's just sucrose and your DNA.
Right.
Sucrose, and then it's just this particulates. So we can easily say that, it's just your DNA in there. Then the rest of it is all sucrose matter, so that we know what sucrose is, so we can cancel that out. Right? So for a virus, so-called virus, we do the same thing. So COVID-19, we take our sputum, the swab test, put it into a test tube, send it to a lab, and then the lab takes it, puts it into solution, centrifuges it again, ultra centrifugation into sucrose gradient, whatever means they have, right? Ban it out, and then they say that, we already know the density of a coronavirus.
Right.
Coronavirus particulates. According to that, we produce our sucrose gradient solution, and then we put it and ultra centrifuge it again, separate it out, and let's look at it under the microscope now. So you look under the microscope, you can see that it is something that you can tell that, there are spike proteins, there's a cellular feature inside the nucleus, whatever. That's when you can see it.
Right.
And then when you put it into a PCR, you test it under a PCR, now you know that it's purely the virus.
Right.
Right? Because if you look at under the microscope, the electron microscope, it's just going to be that particulate suspended in it. majority of it is just that. So highly likely when you do a PCR gene sequencing, it's just going to be that.
Right.
But the current case, it's not that.
They're not doing that.
It's not that, yeah.
Right. Right.
The current case is magic lah. It's voodoo shit. It's like, we know because we have already done it before. So it's 80%, 90% similar. So it is the same thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's a new thing.
Right.
But it's from this family. But then how did you do the previous one? Same way.
Right.
Then you go back, and then all roads lead you back to John Anders.
Right.
And that first experiment for polio or measles.
Okay.
Right? So it has been flawed since then.
Right.
But the machinery has been built on top of that.
Okay.
The vaccine industry and all has been built on top of
So
that.
same like the banks are too big to fail.
Yes. This is too big to fail.
So basically you're saying that like measles and polio the virus, it's not a virus lah, basically.
No.
That can be spread from person to person.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you start reading
Oh, sorry, I have
or
to
start
excuse
listening
myself
to
because the smart bomb's about to come.
Yeah.
if you were to start virus mania,
Yeah.
they would actually start with like measles, mumps, and rubella and all this kind of shit. And then you actually realize that the vaccines and all started coming out when the infections or the deaths from that number of people infected were all like drastically going down. Because people eventually figured out that we have to change something from our lifestyle, whether it's drinking water or something. And then it got curtailed. After that was when the vaccines came out.
Did they figure out what was causing measles, mumps, and rubella?
It's actually 3 different diseases which have been lumped together.
Right.
So the vaccines, actually there's a documentary called Vaxxed. VAXX, don't know how many X's and then ED, where it actually shows that kids in America, they have a really strict like vaccination schedule.
Yep.
And you actually get shots after don't know how many weeks or months.
Yep.
And there have been studies showing that those vaccines, the MMR vaccine especially, measles, mumps, and rubella, being administered to children or infants at such a young age, drives up the chances of the child being autistic.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I thought that has been disproved already.
No.
Okay.
No. It's the reverse.
Right.
So the CDC. So CDC is not the same. Okay, in Singapore it's called the Communicable Disease Center.
Right.
So any disease that the government deems that is spreadable, it's too contagious. If you have this, we need to isolate you and all. We have a center for this, and this is near Tan Tock Seng. It's at Balestier, right? In America, it's the CDC is called Center for Disease Control. So all these infectious diseases and all, they investigate it, they study it, they do research, and they try to come up with ways and means to eradicate those or combat those.
Yep.
Right? But surprisingly, that place is not funded by the government.
Okay.
Right? They actually need to have their own funding in terms of percentages, right? The government barely funds them. So their main funders are actually the pharmaceutical industry, medical instrumental industry, and the psychological industry. So people who are essentially making the drugs and the treatments are actually paying for the studies. Right? So people were saying that no, these like what is happening to my child, all this kind of shit. Loads of complaints are coming forth, and they are forced to do investigations, right? And they found out that actually the vaccines, when administered to kids at such a young age, does cause loads of problems.
Wait, what?
MMR vaccines.
But for us, we cannot find though.
For what?
I got vaccinated for MMR when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh.
Was that when
in
your
primary school.
right?
Right, probably
Right?
I as well.
So so these kids are being vaccinated within months of their birth, or within months of their birth.
Right.
So it's already said that no, you should not vaccinate the kids this young because they don't have a proper immune system developed.
Right. Right.
So the vaccine schedule should be pushed backwards.
Yep.
And this is like the really conservative, like we still believe in the disease and the virus and everything, but just don't vaccinate the kids too young.
Yep.
Right? And there was a British journal, medical journal, BMJ, British Medical Journal. They funded a study, and the scientist actually came out and said that we can see the data actually shows that it's dangerous if you vaccinate too young. But even if that is a little bit too far-fetched, we recommend that we vaccinate them separately. So you vaccinate the children for measles separately, for mumps separately, for rubella separately.
Yep.
That's our recommendation.
No, at the same time, lah.
Just not at the same time, lah. You don't give them all the doses at
So
the same time.
I mean, the basic concept is quite simple. If the person doesn't have an immune system yet, there's no point to vaccine.
Exactly.
So it's dumbed down to the point, like the vaccine works in the sense that it trains your immune system to protect you against that virus.
Correct.
If your immune system's not there, why the fuck do you want to introduce the thing?
Correct.
So that's for layman's terms, like that makes sense. If the child's immune system is not there, there is no sense to vaccine the thing. This is not anti-vaccine. It's just the whole science thing's going against you. Like not going against. It's
It's
how it
your
flows.
argument is scientific.
I mean, it's scientific.
Because you're
flows.
basing it on science, man.
If you're saying that the vaccine is to train your immune system, if the immune system is not there, then who's there to train? It's like having an army base and you send the instructors there, but there's nobody to train.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You're just flooding the base with instructors with nothing else to do. And then that could be more detrimental to the whole thing, because then
Correct,
they can
correct.
be
But
deviants.
you see, this the argument itself is from a really conservative point.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
We believe in
I
everything,
mean,
but just don't do it this way.
yeah. So isn't
But
that normal?
the guy who said that and released, he was pushed in front and said that you handle the press conference. No, he was called an anti-vaxxer.
Oh shit!
Right? The guy who
So it's actions like that
was
that brings. It's action like that. The moment someone comes out and brings up a valid point, and then immediately pushed into this whole, because of how we have been shown to view the anti-vaxxers. The loud ones. The loud ones are not usually the best ones to look at. So the moment he's pushed into this position, we are meant to discredit him immediately. This kind of action, right, brings up the question, like, why do you want to push the vaccine so with such ferocity? Like, what's the deal? Like, we already get, like, most of us that kind of understand the concept already get why you want to immunize us, why you want to fight against the virus. It's a good cause. It makes sense, but then why do you want to push it so ferociously? I understand you want to protect us, but come on, no one is that. We already know human nature. We're not that good.
Yeah.
We're only that good when the rewards of being that good is humongous. So so the outcome of it is what we're looking at, lah. Like, you want to push this vaccine for? Is it really to protect the human race, or is it for profits? Like, what's going on? And I think that's where it all boils down to the whole. Really, one simple thing is just where power goes, corruption follows. And
correct.
When this vaccine pushes, it's like big pharma and all that kind of thing. It's like, this is our gateway into the whole human race, where we can milk them for money, lah.
Yeah.
But why?
Or to re-engineer the human genome.
Yeah. So
but that
the other thing is that for his case, this whole HIV stuff, it brings up this one little, HIV has been around since what 1980s, is it?
84.
Someone
84.
fucked a chimpanzee.
Chimpanzee thingy.
No, no.
No,
All of that, right?
No, like
is conjecture.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's just go on because the virus. I think they tested it and it was from a chimpanzee or
No.
I mean they found whatever lah. I don't know. So
The mainstream
yeah,
science
no,
is that
because
it's from
they
a
said,
chimpanzee.
Yeah, they said that the
SIV, it's
yeah,
called
they found
SIV.
it there. So the thing is that from 1984. Once again, I think the whole concept is like you see who stands to gain most from tragedy or
Yeah.
this thing, and you look at it and you see who kind of benefits from it. From looking at that, I think that's where most of the people who are questioning it, they come from. They're like, hey, shit, this whole the HIV thing, like you all just pointed out, I wasn't very, I cannot understand. I was trying to read and trying to understand. I cannot understand. So I'm just saying that those people who know what they're saying, they read the things, they know how isolation works, or how a virus should be identified, or how it should be confirmed, and they're saying, hey, HIV hasn't actually been. Right. Am I correct?
It's not been isolated, purified, and shown to exist.
So
yeah.
so that's the question that been said, and then I read other pieces that say how do you identify HIV, and I cannot be bothered to. I don't understand lah. Even beyond all that, so let's just say because this question wouldn't have been raised if it was answered
Unequivocally, yeah.
like concrete place down HIV. This identify start all because I think someone I read one says that Cox and
Cox
Helen
postulates.
and Helen or something. There's two of them that were not satisfied.
Mm.
Both of them were not satisfied by HIV's the
people
virology.
who proclaim
Yeah.
that
So
it
they did not satisfy those things, and to proclaim it, that is just someone just pushing the idea forward. Like they saw it and then it didn't satisfy it, but it's prevalent enough, and a majority of people already start to like they've experienced the side the effects of it, and more people are like the same
just saying that people are sick,
have the same kind of symptoms,
so
and it's led to this one. So they pushed it forward, but
so they're saying the eye test passes.
yeah.
Right.
So I mean I bring it back to the whole stuff that all this push forward, and the only grievance I can view is that if you look at who stands to gain from it, then maybe that's where you learn why it was pushed forward so quickly.
Yeah, but
But
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree
I
with
haven't
that.
read who.
I agree with that.
Mm.
But you have to put it in tandem with who stands to gain and the scientific evidence for it.
Yeah. So the
So
scientific
when-
evidence
when
you already
you
said
have
that it's
people
not,
who are
it's not very
questioning
strong,
it,
right?
There's no
So
scientific
the
evidence.
scientific
So-
evidence is not very strong. So,
So
who stands to gain?
the whole idea that there's HIV and HIV causes AIDS was postulated at a press conference. So the
Mhm.
Secretary for Health
Mhm.
in Ronald Reagan's administration came up
So long ago.
1984.
Before any of us
April
were born.
1984. Yeah.
Yeah.
Came up and said, Robert Gallo and our team, we all have an announcement to make saying that there's a virus. It's called the Human Immunodeficiency Virus, and it is the sole cause of the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome
Right.
that affects people.
Right.
And it's going to be disastrous. It's going to be deadly and all if we don't combat it. If we don't take it on.
It's
It's
still
gonna wipe
labeled
out
as a
people.
pandemic.
It was no,
No, it's
epidemic. It was labeled
is
as
it?
an epidemic.
I think I saw. I thought it's still labeled as HIV is still a pandemic because it spreads. It's still spreading, and there's no control for. I mean, there's still no.
Wear a fucking condom. Isn't it the control?
No, but you see that's where we have been drilled, right?
Yeah.
Saying that it's sexually transmitted, and it could destroy lives and everything. But the problem is that they have different. Not by saying the AIDS establishment across the world, they have got different parameters for establishing AIDS in a person.
But
right? So in the 80s, they used this technique it's I think still being used. It's called the antibody test. So the antibody test tests a person for protein reactions. So if you have antibodies to a certain set of proteins, you test positive,
Right.
right? But then there's a certain amount criteria. So in countries like Australia, you need to bind with 4 different protein antibodies. That is when you're confirmed to be HIV positive.
Right.
In America or in Canada, at that time, you only needed to bind 3.
So the question is, why is there such a difference?
The worst thing, in Africa, 2 is enough. Okay? And then they came up with a new criteria for Africa where they were like, we don't need to do the antibody test. Too expensive and everything. We just look at what you are suffering from. Diarrhea, weight loss, fever, AIDS.
That sounds
Not even HIV, because they have not done the HIV test,
Yeah.
the antibody test. So they immediately diagnose you with the latter syndrome. So HIV is supposed to lead to AIDS, right?
Yeah.
So in first world countries,
Yeah.
you can have AIDS and lead a healthy life and everything,
Or-
as long as you're on the antiviral drugs, AZT and all.
As long as you can afford.
You can afford.
Antiviral drugs.
And AIDS might actually come 10 years, 15 years later if you don't take the drugs.
Magic
Yeah.
Johnson.
Magic Johnson, nothing.
Charlie
Fella-
Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
all good, right?
Anyone that can afford it, lah.
But diarrhea,
that's a misnomer.
So diarrhea,
So-
vomiting, and everything sounds like
No, I mean-
cholera.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
antibody test
Yeah.
cross reacts with malaria,
Yeah.
with flu. If you had a flu vaccine, it also detects that. So there are so many cross contaminants that there's no gold standard. There's no testing
So
on
there's
the
no
test.
one single standard, lah. Which
There's
if,
no.
if you wanna break it down, there should have been, lah. Yeah, I mean, it should
Yes,
have been, lah.
yes. But the scientists who are working on it, who are working on the whole AIDS,
Has already said
HIV
that,
AIDS hypothesis,
Yeah.
were not working to actually find out whether this is true and all. They were actually working. Robert Gallo was actually working to find out a test. He wanted to create a test to be marketed. And that's the same guy. Robert Gallo was the same guy that was trying to prove that there's a virus that causes cancer
Right.
for more than 10 years.
Right.
And he patented whatever he was working to say that this is a cancer-causing virus.
Cancer causing.
And
But
when
that
it
has been
failed,
disputed, right?
It failed.
Yeah.
It failed miserably because they couldn't attribute a virus to cancer.
not only
Yeah.
that, we can't even attribute what cancer
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
is.
Cancer is just a mutation of cells, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Dying cells who have not been
Yeah,
disposed from the
apparently,
body, and then it
and-
becomes a tumor.
And it's
whatsoever.
I don't know, it's a myth or it's a widely known thing that cancer exists in everyone. It just that certain things aggravate it or what lah.
or
Whether
it could be your
just a
body's inability to
Yeah,
dispose
it
of
could
those
be a-
cells.
It's just whether it's benign or
Yeah,
malignant,
it
right?
could be
Yeah.
it could be a natural process of something, and then we exacerbate it with I don't know what.
We don't know
nonsense.
exactly
We
what
don't know.
causes cancer right
We
now
don't
in
know.
like
We just
2021.
And-
our
and-
treatment of it is proof. What our treatment is
It's death.
chemotherapy is just. I mean, it started
Chemotherapy
off,
is AZT.
it started off as chemotherapy started off as it's basically radiation that kills everything.
No. Chemotherapy is a very, very strong
Way of but
killing cells.
its
So
main
kills
thing is
everything.
to kill everything.
Everything.
Now they're trying to. I mean, the main aim now is for it to just kill a specific kind.
Yeah.
But you can tell from how it began. I don't think even started out treating. It didn't
it was
start out
actually
as
not meant for cancer. It was meant for HIV.
there you
It
go.
was meant for AIDS.
So it was meant for AIDS, and bringing back to the whole thing is how it's too big to fail. If there was anything to throw a cog into it right now, it's when we say too big to fail, I think we're even downplaying how big that is. If you he brought out one very good thing. The moment I said that if HIV is like just let's just say it's not. It doesn't somehow someone prove it doesn't exist. All those people in jail for you said HIV thing. That one's one question.
Transmitting HIV
That's
to another
one.
person. Yeah,
That's
because
one.
it's deadly, right? It's deemed to be deadly.
Yeah. All those other treatments for it that people have.
HIV positive mothers, they can't give breast milk to their kids.
So
Right.
that's one. So everything that's connected to it will fall, and those things that is connected to are not small things. Some people have been in jail for what? I don't know.
Very long.
Very long time for this kind of thing. And
No, the number of class action suits that will be
so the
put
class
on.
action, because then again those people deserve to be in jail because of the action of it. Like, you know, some they did it like they took their own blood and whack it in.
But above all,
yeah, but what they were prosecuted on was that blood is a contagion, contagion for that thing. So even if their intention was horrible, it actually would be reduced down to assault. No longer.
No, dude. If all of this is proven to be hogwash, then you have unethically just incarcerated someone for nothing.
No, but yeah, that's one thing. But you know, the action, they actually did assault. Okay, fine. But
no, there's no assault or anything anymore.
But that's how fragile
dude,
it is.
It's not even that. It goes way beyond that.
Is it?
It goes to fucking demolish an entire field of study in science.
Oh yeah.
Virology gets fucking eradicated just like that.
But then it puts into question every other thing.
Other thing.
Yeah.
And you see that.
So it's scary. I mean, it's scary, and you can see from a person that it's. If there was someone behind it wanting to control this, you can see how important it is that it doesn't get out.
And it's not even one person, you see.
And that's why I'm wondering why there's no smart bomb coming right now.
Yeah.
Is it because we're too small?
No.
That's why I subscribe to our Patreon and then make us big enough.
Make us bigger
so that we will be a target and we could be proof. If the three of us just doesn't exist one day, you'll know. Everything we say is true.
Yeah, you see, the key thing, right? The key thing is that people always say that. Early on, you said it that you read all the.
I didn't understand.
You didn't understand. You know why? You know why? Because you're reading Wikipedia, right?
Yeah. Okay.
What is on Wikipedia, right? It's not meant to be conclusive. It's not meant to actually show you.
It's meant to be the collective knowledge of the people that have access to it.
Correct.
So it's not a deep. It's not. Wikipedia
it's what
is a collection.
Accepted. It's what is accepted.
Wikipedia is a collection of human knowledge, like current human knowledge.
Actually, it's not true, also. That's not true, also.
Not human knowledge. How do I phrase it? Collection of layman knowledge. Is it layman?
Not even that. Everyone has access to it, but
But
we don't know who is editing it, right?
Exactly. No. So the people editing it is the people that know as much as or they know. They know what they have the knowledge, but it's knowledge garnered by people who are lay, knowledge available to. It's a collection, it's a compendium. It's like
but
it's not like what a scientist really knows. It's not scientist doesn't a scientist wouldn't have edited it. It's someone like me, you, who
but a scientist could edit it also.
Could edit it, yeah,
right?
Could.
But
most likely it's not.
If whatever that was edited in does not fit into conventional wisdom,
then
it gets removed.
And
then someone else comes in and edits it.
But
we wouldn't know.
You might know, but I wouldn't know. Like I'm saying, I wouldn't know. I read Wikipedia and I take it as it is, but I wouldn't know if it's I don't when I read things. If I were to search broccoli, and I read Wikipedia, the things that's stated about broccoli in Wikipedia is things that I wouldn't know now, but when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, then I'll accept it.
No, but you see, even when you read Wikipedia, right? You see, Wikipedia still has footnotes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So when you
I don't read those.
When they have sentences and then there's a number behind it, right? You click the number.
Then
that should lead you to a reference, and then when you read the reference,
I think that's what keeps it legit in a sense, right? So
yeah, but it's not really legit when you've got articles like when Josie comes in. We can go into this.
Oh, we're supposed to shit on Josie when he goes out.
Oh no, that was not part of the plan for this episode.
Damn it.
We spoke about it the other episode.
Are we gonna say I suspect him of HIV? It's
no, HIV doesn't exist. What then what to suspect him of?
I suspect, and it's no. Then he actually did.
No, but I can bring in another topic later when we go deep inside, and then you can accuse him of that.
He tried. Next time you go, then we'll shit on you. Okay. Yeah lah.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is that when you rely, wherever you rely on getting your information from lah, it should not be just saying that this is how it is. The end. That should not be the way.
Yeah.
It should be saying that this is what we have come across. It's based on this. You go have a look, make your mind up. Go do your own research, make your mind up. But that's not how it happens right now, because you've got news articles masquerading as scientifically proven dogma.
Basically, it's trying to snuff out curiosity lah.
Yes.
It's just trying to give you, and admittedly, that's what it is.
Snuff out curiosity, snuff out dissent.
Yeah, because with the progression of technology, I mean, come on, we came from an age. The three of us actually came from an age where, if you wanted to know something, you actually had to go back when we were younger lah. You had to go read up upon it.
You had to go to the library.
You had to go to someone who's more knowledgeable than you. This was before the introduction of the computer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the funny thing. We were so young when the computer was introduced to us.
Yeah.
I was so young that I can't actually remember not searching the internet for answers. But my brother knows. My brother would know the time where if you wanted to know something, you go to an encyclopedia.
Exactly.
An encyclopedia, read it myself. And even then, there was questions, because when you read the encyclopedia, it's like, oh, this guy.
How true is this?
We take this one out, but you're curious. You were curious. You ask questions.
Yeah.
And that's why back then there was so much more dissent. I guess. I think. Yeah. So much more dissent. Then we were introduced to the internet, and we stopped questioning as much. Well, at one point, we just stopped questioning as much, and things progressed to the point that everything on the internet we can take it at its face value.
Yeah.
But now people are wondering, maybe the things we're told on the internet
might not be true.
It's quite questionable.
Yeah. But you see, that's the thing. Like what you said, it's too big to fail. But then you kind of gave that point. Like, it is too big to fail. Yeah.
If you think about it right now, it's really horrendously
because
too
we
big
have
to fail.
it has already been established at different points.
It's
of
inset in people's
of
mind.
Of time, right?
Yeah.
Like HIV already exists.
Yeah.
Right. And then SARS was true. Yeah. Oh, we all had our lives affected by SARS for
at
least 3 days.
We got 3 days holiday
back in 2003.
Now it's 2 years, and this pandemic is going on for.
Oh no! But before that, we have MERS. We had swine flu.
H1N5 or something.
H1N1.
Zika.
We had Zika. But Zika was meant to be mosquitoes, right?
Mojitos.
Mojitos, and then we had fucking Ebola.
Yeah.
And Ebola is not new, no. Ebola has existed for a very long time, right?
So Ebola's fucking scary. I mean, the description of Ebola is fucking scary, yeah.
Yeah. So, like...
bleed through every pore, okay.
Like, when you look at all of this, then you're like, hey, fuck, like... The general population is just being shoved into a place where we are all in fear that... The thing that we think about is like, hey, let's just keep ourselves alive. I want to keep myself alive. I want to keep my family, my children, my offspring. Everyone alive.
For COVID, the biggest drive was always in reference to the Black Plague.
Yes.
Yeah, the Black Plague, where
the bubonic plague.
Yeah, bubonic
plague
by rats. Ravaged through Europe by rats, right?
I thought it was a Spanish flu though.
And the Spanish flu. So those
whatever
two,
does the job.
So those two indicators were things that happen human.
But the Black
history.
Plague was due to unhygienic environments though.
Oh, dude, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Everything back then was unhygienic.
I mean, the sewers were right beside the town or some shit like that. It was underground.
Let's not talk about
fucking, there's a case in Africa in quite a number of places still.
But let's not talk about
unclean drinking water.
Back then we didn't have alcohol, sanitizers.
Yeah. Or even the idea of soap.
But yeah, back then washing hands.
Idea of bacteria lives on your hands, and then
washing hands was not.
We've got bacteria everywhere. We've got bacteria all over skin right now.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
When you shake someone's hand.
Then we are going into another area called germ theory versus terrain theory.
Terrain.
That one is quite interesting. You might want to check it out.
Right, but
But
like,
that's not what we're about.
but like
No, that one you have to check it out on your own time.
but like washing your clothes in like shit water
Yeah.
and then wearing them, you know,
Yeah.
shit like that. Like it just doesn't make sense.
Like anyone that
But at
washes
that
their
time, I
clothes
think
in the
people don't understand why it's not good.
Yeah, because it's water. You know,
It's
they-
just
they
water,
see
but the water-
water I can drink.
Yeah.
Why can't I wash my clothes there?
Why can't I wash my clothes
the
there?
person
You know,
down the river though is like
taking
"Hey,
a dump in
fuck
the
you.
water."
I'm washing my clothes here. How the fuck you?
yeah.
pee?
Why are you taking a dump? Why are you peeing though?
I didn't
in
want
the
mine
river?
has essence of you.
So I mean, the idea of like bacteria, yeah, you know,
Yeah, it wasn't prevalent back then. No one knew what it was. Like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Black plague period.
I thought you said black people.
Black. Black.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Black.
Black.
Be careful, Sean.
Yeah. No.
Black
that was
what? Sorry.
The
Black
black
what?
no,
plague.
he didn't
Plague.
end. He didn't end the word with the S.
Yeah, S. So black plague was when? Okay. Yeah, what was the period
Spanish
roughly?
flu was 1918. Black plague must be 1400s, if I'm not
Yeah.
wrong.
1400.
But
Black
the-
plague.
When was Louis Pasteur? When did he discover
That was the
antibiotics?
turn of 19th century, right?
19
Yeah, so 1800s.
centuries,
1800s.
Yeah.
1800s, 19. When did
But
anyone-
Louis Pasteur has actually been shown to be a fucking
Fuck, I knew there was something about. Was he a cross dresser? What
no,
the
no,
fuck?
no, 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 no,
He's
no.
a fraud, right?
He's a fraud. Yeah,
He's a fraud?
yeah.
No.
He actually stole ideas from another French scientist, and he just tweaked it.
Was it
to-
Panadol?
No. Like the whole idea of pasteurizing things.
Oh, Louis Pasteur.
Yeah, it was named after him, right?
Maybe the other guy's name didn't,
no, but-
didn't roll off the tongue.
But
as
the people
quickly.
who actually came up with the HIV, have
Maybe
been
the guy was
attributed.
named Anel.
Luc
Then-
Montagnier and the fucking lady with 3 names, fucking weird names. They were from the Pasteur Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pasteur Institute in France, and then you got the Robert Koch Institute
Right.
in Germany. So these 2 institutes are like the CDC.
History is written by the victor lah. So
Exactly
basically,
lah.
Pasteur,
So-
was the victor in this.
If I'm not wrong, the guy who he ripped off from was this another scientist called Béchamp or something like that.
Béchamp.
Yeah, so there's a book. There are books written about like how this
So
fella
sad.
corrupted the other guy's ideas and experiments and used it because it was way more popular. It was way more usable
And
because there were medicines and everything could be produced.
yeah, so the thing is that right now we can't question those. We were not in that era. Yeah, so it's
No, but the
this
thing is
why
that-
it's so hard.
But the
like,
thing is that now technology is advanced, right? So it's actually easier to
disprove him. Yeah,
all
okay.
all of his methods or
and if
techniques.
we can,
But
we
the
should
thing is
lah.
that there's no money behind that
Ah.
because the money is actually built on
On
what
it.
this guy has said.
No, but that brings me back to the thing. Like Black Plague 14.
Yeah,
So basically, nowhere near the 1900s.
and it was attributed to rats.
Correct. So, but back then, does anyone know anything about bacteria? No.
Not much.
Not much.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I mean, like, okay, we okay. If we want to really bring it down, like bacteria, germs, viruses, they only became known at the 1900s, 1800s.
no, I think before that. But the whole idea of viruses
Yeah, so that
was
no,
way later.
I think the
So
concept of
So
that
the
is
idea of virus comes
Mm.
from the Latin word to say poison.
poison.
Virus actually, like in Latin, means
So,
like
Would it
poison.
be right for me to say that back then, I mean, death happening, or they need to attribute it to something, right?
That was the idea of science.
So that
Because the religious were like,
so
it
could
is
have been a
sin.
witch.
Yeah.
It
If
could have
God
been-
wills, it will.
Yeah,
could have been a
It's
witch.
God's will and
It
all.
could have been this guy, the mayor of this town. You know, he slept around. And then it just plagued everyone. That's what usually was attributed. Lots of people die. Same
Yeah.
concepts like, oh, it must have been you. And then now we're a little bit more enlightened. We create create theories. We test them out, and then we prove them. So our whole concept is HIV. So HIV, they came up with this concept. They saw like, oh, people are suffering from these symptoms. We find
Okay, let me clarify.
clarify, yes, because I'm not
The researchers were already working on something to
Mhm.
attribute viruses to cancer.
So you see, when you're working on something, And then, okay, go
Right.
on.
So when that failed, when it did not prove any conclusive evidence, no conclusive evidence was provided.
Mhm.
So now they have to pivot into something else, like how those KTVs pivoted into food and beverage
And
establishments,
as
right?
that's a good fucking example because
Yeah.
as they pivoted that, it doesn't mean it's right.
Doesn't mean it's right.
It just means that it was more convenient. It
Because
matched the
there's
point.
money, the
There was
government
money
is
to be
giving
made.
money.
So here, like the point made here is it the same? Because if it is the same concept, that's horrendous. It's basically
it
you
was.
couldn't prove
It was.
they couldn't prove your initial goal, and then suddenly something else came up, and all your certain markers pointed it, and you could use those markers to prove that.
Yeah. Okay. So it was. Some critics label it as it was the establishment's way
Mhm.
of coming up with the next plague
And a control.
And a
form of control.
and a form of control, right?
And a form of
So-
control.
And
as a way
you've also got to keep in mind that
Agenda
the
is
first 5 people
Mhm.
that were treated as HIV scapegoats were 5 gay men,
So there was an agenda there
right?
that might have been driven by.
No, let's not go to the extent to say that they picked them on purpose,
Mhm.
but it was such a good pick.
Mm.
I can't say that they picked them on purpose. There's no evidence behind it, but I'm
no,
saying
it
that
fit the agenda lah.
it fit-
Basically,
yes. You know why? They picked 5 gay men who have been abusing drugs, heavy drugs, fucking meth, coke, poppers, barely had any food. They have been having really mad kind of sex in like the bathhouses of San Francisco and all,
everywhere lah.
right? And they have been on antibiotics for all sorts of different STDs like syphilis, gonorrhea.
They went by
chlamydia.
the motive: see a dick, suck a dick.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So, hey, Sean is not wrong here. I will explain this like in a bit. So it was so good that they had 5 people who were extremely ill, and then they did whatever experiments we opened up the episode on with. They did all of that on them. So they took bodily fluids from them, did experiments, and then eventually they gave them the drugs, AZT and whatever antiviral protease inhibitors or whatever, and most of them died after that.
Oh shit. They
Yeah.
died.
Died?
They died. People who were on AZT
Yeah.
died at record rates.
Wow. Was that why they stopped AZT?
Eventually they stopped it.
To
And
treat,
and then
AIDS
they said
patients.
we've got different sorts of antiviral drugs to treat them. But AZT is just chemotherapy.
Wow. Holy shit.
It's just a higher dose of chemotherapy.
It would make sense because it kills all the
Dude, you
cells.
should see the vials of AZT that was sent, right?
It's
So
called nuke.
yeah. So if you were to buy it, like you were administered it by a doctor, it comes in different packaging. But if you're a lab technician and you order AZT to do experiments, it comes with the skull and bones.
Wow.
It comes in a totally different packaging, saying
Holy-
that do not handle this haphazardly.
Wow.
Be careful.
Holy
Right.
shit.
Bone marrow toxicity. Holy shit.
Yes. So this was administered
Zido
to people who were allegedly immunocompromised.
Right.
Like, why would you give toxins to someone who is already immunocompromised and cannot handle toxins?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So that's where people within, like, even the gay community started like thinking like, what the fuck? Like, I'm meant to be a HIV activist,
Yeah.
but it seems like the drugs that have been administered to us are toxic and would most likely kill us. Like, what the fuck is this?
And what drugs now are they giving to HIV positive patients?
It's mostly a cocktail of antiviral drugs,
Right.
protease inhibitors, and all sorts of funky things lah.
But now there's something called PrEP, right? That you can take and then it
PrEP.
prevents you from getting HIV.
What?
Yeah, it's meant to be a prophylaxis,
Yeah,
right?
prophylaxis.
what?
Yeah.
But all of this,
Yeah.
it's all money into the coffers of the HIV industry.
Right. Right.
So now, you see, it's already established that there's something called HIV. It's contractable via sexual means.
And AIDS.
And then eventually, you might get AIDS and then you will die.
Yeah.
So why don't you protect yourself? And especially the gay community.
Yeah.
Let's protect yourself.
Why don't you just wear a condom? Isn't that enough?
You see, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
You see,
Because I tell the guys always wear a Jimmy or you're not getting into me. And that rhymes, so it helps.
Okay, I'll share. Okay, so this story
Yeah.
was shared by Dr. Carey Mullis.
Right.
So for those people who don't know, Dr. Carey Mullis was the guy who invented the technique PCR.
Okay.
So all you fucks who are who have been going for the swab test and everything,
I've not done one single swab test.
exactly.
Fuck that shit. I already had COVID in 2018 summer.
There's no COVID. Yeah. So
I'm immune.
okay, so this
COVID.
guy invented the thing,
Yeah.
right? The PCR technique, right?
Yeah.
And the PCR technique was just a lab technique to amplify RNA DNA sequences. That's it.
Right.
Not meant for diagnostics whatsoever. So he got the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993.
Yeah.
And he was actually given some money to say that let's do a study to find out how we can help the AIDS thing and everything. Let's do good things to help them. This guy has made enough money. He's like, yeah, okay, why not lah? Why not we help lah?
Yeah.
So he starts writing a paper, and the first line, the first stanza in the paper is like, HIV is a probable cause of AIDS, and he wants to put that footnote number 1 on that. And it's like, which paper actually says that HIV causes AIDS?
Right.
So he tries going to find evidence for it. Couldn't find. And then he goes to ask the guy who actually is attributed to the virus, Luc Montagnier, who eventually in 2008 gets a Nobel Peace Prize for discovering AIDS. And he's like, yeah, just go to CDC, the news article that they put out. Yeah, just cite that. He was like, huh? How can a scientist cite a news article from a website saying that that's evidence?
Right.
You
Right.
can't use that one.
Yeah.
No way, what? You need to cite a journal, a scientific journal, scientific book,
It's been peer reviewed.
peer reviewed and everything. That's how I get my credibility up. Oh, no, you can try going there, going here. No evidence. And then I was like, what the fuck are these people doing?
Mm.
And then eventually he came to the conclusion that, yeah, these fuckers are doing fucking voodoo magic here and trying to convince people of all this kind of shit. And now they're using what I discovered,
Right.
to help them. But it does not actually do anything. You're misusing it, but he does not like to say that PCR is being misused. You can fuck around with the data, but PCR just does one thing, just amplifies things. That's it.
Right.
So he was like, no, come on. Like fuck this. And then he shared in an interview with another PhD, Gary Null, said that when he was in University College of Berkeley, UCLA Berkeley, right, in San Francisco, he used to live next door to 2 gay guys. They would come and hang out, play cards, have really good, and they were professionals.
Yeah. Anal sex.
In San Francisco. Right?
Sean is getting a hard on right now.
Yeah, but they were pretty alright. They were gay and all, but it was pretty alright until San Francisco had
They decided to play Uno.
bath houses.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Wait, what? Buff houses.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
So-
Roman time buff houses?
something like that. But it was just frequented by gay men.
Yeah, I see the temptation is a bit too much lah. Like if Singapore have bath houses for straight men, I'll be there every day.
There are no bath houses for straight men, but there are bath houses for gay men. So wait, I'll tell this and then I'll go into the Singapore context.
Yes.
So
Wait, what?
yeah, so
Okay.
his neighbors started frequenting the bath houses. So they'll come off work and then they'll go to the bath houses. And then they'll be having sex with strangers, multiple partners, whatsoever. And then they'll come back home when he is going out to surf or going out to school,
Right.
right? And they would like say hi to him and all, and they'll just go in, maybe shower, have something to maybe eat or not, doesn't know, pop a few amphetamines, and then go to work.
Right.
And then they'll come back the next day, go to the bathhouses, and that will repeat. Right? So they are having no sleep, barely having anything to eat, having drugs, poppers, amphetamines, whatsoever. It's continuing. And you're having sex with people you don't know, basically. Right? So highly likely you might contract some form of infection, right?
STDs or whatever.
STDs,
Yeah.
syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, whatever. So you'll be on antibiotics.
Yeah.
So you have that. You have barely any nutrition, no sleep,
Yeah.
and then you start losing weight. Your immune system starts shutting down. You go and see a doctor, and then you get diagnosed as HIV positive, AIDS.
Right.
Right? So he was saying that it is clear that it has nothing to do with any pathogen. It's just your lifestyle. It leads you to that. If you stop and you just sleep and you go to the bathhouse once a week, maybe.
Why
that
why
would
don't you
change.
just stay home and take a bath?
And I really like Carrie Williams because the first thing he said that if there was something for straight men like that, I would be there 24/7. Like what you were saying. He said it. He said it himself. He said
Yeah.
that I come down to San Diego every few months when there's the huge surfer crowd, when there are chicks out, and I party for 1 week,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
I drink tequila till like 5 a.m. We meet really beautiful ladies who come here for vacation, for the surfing period and all,
Yeah.
and that's all good. And I understand, like he fucking Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotta
I get in there sometimes.
Yeah.
I have my fun.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he clearly understands where these gay men are going.
Yeah.
And I was listening to this while doing work, right? I was like toggling in between like windows. I was watching him talking about this and all that. I'll go back. I was like, fuck. Is this how wild gay men can actually get?
Probably, yeah.
And then
Is that how wild people can get?
then
Actually, that's not,
I went to check out the place that I was talking about last week. You know, where I got the loop,
Yeah.
the super slide loop.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, let me find the name of that place
Yeah.
and let me see if there's anything on that place.
Right.
So I went to
Product
find,
placement.
and it's and the place is called 10 Men's Club.
Okay.
Okay,
Interesting.
It used to be at Pagoda Street. Okay, in Chinatown. And then I found an article on Google that was linked to this forum called Blowing with the Wind.
Brilliant name.
I was like, okay, this is definitely there's a rainbow flag involved in this.
Yeah.
And I clicked it, and it was about reviews of 10 Men Club.
Right.
And I started reading people like reviewing it and sharing their experiences about it. And I was like, holy shit, okay, I understand why people who are gay are actually getting it left, right, center.
Right. So what is the top review of the place of 10 Men's Club?
No, so you get people like literally like telling how it functions, what are the facilities there, what you get, and then you get people actually in there like saying like, oh, these are my experiences inside.
Yeah, what's the worst experience you have had? Or the most exciting experience?
I wouldn't say worst, but I would say that it was shocking.
Right.
It was shocking where men are just going in there like
Yeah.
into a sauna
Yeah.
and just sitting, and then there are other men sitting, and then suddenly the guy just puts his hand out and just starts jerking you off,
Right.
and then another guy comes up and starts sucking you off,
Right.
and then while he's sucking you, he's touching the other guy who was initially jerking you off.
You know, that sounds
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden
Circle of life.
you go out with the guy who was sucking you off into another private cubicle,
yeah.
and then you guys start fucking.
Right.
And
It sounds
then-
like a place that I will have fun at.
And then, you guys
Mufasa.
start, like, you start fucking,
Yeah.
and depending on whether the characters are what top,
Yeah,
bottom, whatever.
Mufasa is
So
like,
if you are the bottom, you wait until the guy fucks you till he comes, and then you guys had chit
Then you
chat,
let him
and then
go.
you leave, you go shower and everything.
Yeah.
As you shower, and then suddenly you just go back into the sauna. Another guy comes up to you,
Yeah.
and he starts playing with your cock, and then
then-
suddenly it happens again,
Right.
and then you go to a different cubicle, and now you have sex again
Right.
until that guy comes, and then you go shower again,
Yeah.
and then you come. Then in the shower you meet another fella. He starts playing with your cock, and now
Right.
he is sucking your cock, and now you have sex with him.
Yeah. This
Like it's
I
you
don't
know,
know.
when like when I was in uni, and one of my friends in uni, he
Yeah.
said to me that promiscuity is a problem within the gay community. I was like, let's not jump to conclusions. Oh, how naive I was at that point.
Yeah. Now you're making it seem like a bad thing, but for me that sounds like heaven.
No, but you know what's a bad thing? You know what's a bad thing?
What?
And then you read further on, it's like, yeah, you know, I can't stay there too long because I'm married.
Oh shit! Damn, son. Yeah, but for me that sounds like a place that I hang out not 24/7, at least 6 days a week because God rests on the 7th day.
Yeah.
So I have to rest. I have to take a break. I have to rest my PP.
But you can see that's a massive problem.
Yeah.
It's a massive problem.
what? That's a
is.
challenge. Jesus went 6 days.
No, I'm not even talking about Jesus because Jesus doesn't exist. But
I know.
we use his name
God
every day.
went 6 days.
But
and he only
we
had the
use his
rest
name
the
every day
7th.
though. He has to exist. When I fucked up in chess, I said Jesus Christ. So he has to exist.
but then you still lost.
Yeah,
I still lost.
When I fucked up in
And-
life, I said Jesus
And,
Christ.
and he was
And I still
responsible for my
lost.
loss. So
but you see, that's the thing. The gay community has a different set of lifestyle principles,
that's true. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The amount of drug usage is totally different
Yeah.
from fucking using poppers, meth,
Yeah.
coke, even heroin, whatever. It's totally different.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that straight people don't do that. They, of course they do that, but that's pretty isolated
Compared to the gay community. Yeah.
compared to the gay community.
yeah.
And that is excluding. I'm not saying women, because women are way more rational than men when
That's true.
when it comes to their own health.
Yeah. Men are more risk willing to take more risk
Yes.
in to find pleasure than women would do.
What else is the point of life?
Yeah.
If you could be married and still be at gay saunas,
Yeah.
Why?
you can already imagine the fucking risks that you're willing to take.
Exactly. Exactly. That makes sense actually. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know where you just have to read the fucking forum threads. It's insane.
yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That is why, you know, all these kind of practices will lead to problems with your health.
That is true.
Because sex
yeah.
addiction does not only affect men; it affects women as well.
Yeah, nymphomaniacs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I always make sure that I have at least 7 hours of sleep. I take my vitamins. I jerk off no more than twice a day. And
And you follow Manchester United.
I follow Manchester United.
Oh, surefire
The
recipe for
leader of English clubs, they're coming home. They're bringing the treble back to Manchester United. Back to Old Trafford.
Trouble your lana. No, but okay,
Yeah.
for viewers
Yes.
and listeners, like
Yeah.
I will definitely recommend watching this documentary called Positively Hell.
We will link the
that is
description
one.
in the
That
captions,
that's
yeah.
about Spanish people who have been diagnosed with HIV, who have been living for more than 28 years. Or 20 something years, sorry. Maybe not
a
28 years.
miracle. Basically,
Because-
modern age miracle.
No, because they stopped taking the drugs.
Right.
The antiviral drugs, AZT and all, they stopped taking it. Right? And then there's another documentary called Positively False,
Right.
where they actually, and the documentary was compiled for over 25 years.
Right.
Right? From like 87 to like 2011, 2012, that period. And it just goes to show that, you know, the whole dogma behind it, the resistance behind it has not changed. and it was actually paid for by Channel 4 in the UK,
Right.
but they just decided not to air it until they add like certain bits of it, and they got like really bad like backlash from the establishment. And it's actually online. You can actually watch it on YouTube,
Yeah.
where an establishment scientist who is working on HIV/AIDS comes to rebut the producer of the program.
Wow. Okay, that'll be fun.
So it's the producer
Yeah.
versus the scientist.
Wow.
And
okay.
the moderator
Yeah.
gives every benefit of the doubt to the scientist.
Okay.
And he also gives the last word to the scientist.
Right. Right. So there's
So it's as good as nothing lah.
it's a biasness lah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is like, let's give the establishment the last word, and we'll make sure that the documentary makers and whatever they're trying to say in the documentary does
Get
not
fucked.
Right.
get fucked.
Yeah. So we'll link those links in our caption. Do check that out, and you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, go and do reading by yourself.
Yeah.
Go
Don't
and-
rely on Wikipedia because it's fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
Hey, what?
And yeah. And if there's any bathhouse, if there's any
That's where I
single
get all my
bathhouses,
news from, man.
if there's any bathhouses for like straight men, do let me know because I want to turn back like from being gay. I find that it's wrong. I want to go back to being straight, so I want to check out those bathhouses. Drop me a DM.
Women don't work that way.
I want to find women that work that way.
They will just cry rape.
But women that work that way usually want to be paid, and I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, then you just have to go out on the prowl for horse.
Yeah, I want to find horse.
Yeah.
If anyone has any link to horse that can turn me straight, DM me and let me know.
PAP.
All right. Ciao, guys.
This was facts.